Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sohum and I'm on a mission to spread peace, love, and positivity through music. Today I'll be reacting to the AKANE episode of the BAND-MAID documentary series by Orange, which I'm excited for. This reaction is brought to you by Robert, so thank you Robert for the generous support and the documentary recommendations. I'm excited to check this out, so let's just jump in.
Breaking new game.
What the hell is this?
Loud.
Ooh, that was way too loud.
Okay.
Sorry about that. All right.
You're all good.
Who is the next one? Let's see here. Oh. What? She was the one. Wait. She's also a DJ? Really?
Of course, multi-talented.
Okay then. Let's talk about AKANE.
AKANE. AKANE, not AKANE.
AKANE was born on December 14th in Hyogo, a prefecture very close to Osaka. She lived with her mother, her stepfather, and for a short period of time, with her stepbrother, who is 11 years older. During her
I didn't know she wore glasses.
period of time, with her stepbrother, who is 11 years older. During her youngest years, AKANE was very unsociable and the one to do whatever she wanted, like leaving kindergarten to go home or not participating in games and activities with the other kids.
A rebel.
She was, as she likes to say while laughing, a real problem child. Note that in Japan, children go to school and come back home on their own very early, sometimes at 3 or 4. Over the
I mean, that's crazy because in the US, like, that's unfathomable. Even up until, like, at least high school years, parents won't let their children leave the house, come back from school all on their own. That's crazy.
home on their own very early,
3 or
sometimes
4.
at 3 or 4. Over the years, she became more and more friendly and discovered that talking to other people wasn't that bad after all. During her school years, she loved home economics and art, but hated studying. She was also bad at physical activities. Who would have thought? Being a huge fan of manga, AKANE was easily influenced by the Prince of Tennis or Slam Dunk to try different sports, but soon realized that her motivation was gone pretty quickly. She's the kind of person who wants to try everything that could interest her, but nothing lasted very long, except one thing. And this is something that we've seen in Saiki and Kanami's childhood. AKANE has loved music since she was very little. For her, it started with piano in kindergarten and lasted a few years before she stopped because the joy wasn't there anymore. Although, she can still play some songs on the piano,
Okay.
even today.
Okay, she's better than me. Wow. You know, I've always had this thought about the piano, and like I too wish that I'd stuck with it when I was younger and into into now, just because I feel like my grasp of music theory, being able to read sheet music would be light years ahead of where it is right now. And, you know, with learning a skill, it's compounding in interest, so you get even more expertise over time, and things just, I don't know, it's something to do with like the neuroplasticity of your brain, but you know, regardless, she clearly killed it with the drums, so I think she's doing fine.
She continued for 5 years with trombone, but it wasn't something she saw herself pursuing.
I had
At
the
the
trumpet.
end of her trombonist career, she realized that a lot of her friends joined bands, so she went to a lot of live performances and music festivals with them. That's how the idea of being in a band started to grow in AKANE's head. So she joined the K-On! Club to form a band. To get an idea of what it was like, you can watch the anime K-On! AKANE started with the guitar, but soon realized that
Really?
her hands were too small to play, and it was impossible for her to continue. The bass was off the
Interesting.
table too, as you can imagine, and she's no singer, at least according to her, so What's left?
Wow.
Yes, drums. And
That's interesting to arrive at that instrument as a consequence of the size of your hands rather than like wanting to make it work because she loved the guitar or the bass that much. She probably just wanted to play the music well. I mean, I'm assuming we'll hear more, but that's interesting.
what's left? Yes, drums. And once Akane tried a drum kit, she felt that that was it.
Yeah, it just meshed. Ooh. I didn't realize she had small hands.
While learning drums, she started to listen to rock bands like El Garden and Bump of Chicken to end up making covers of their
I don't know them.
songs. She also learned about the band Maximum the Hormone and their female drummer, Now.
I don't know any of these.
Akane was stunned to discover that the drummer of this hard rockin' band was not a man. This was the kind of drummer she wanted to become, so she kept this picture of a strong female drummer in her mind as a role model.
That's great.
It was, and still is, important to Akane to have an impact on anyone who thinks that a female drummer can only play soft and not hard. With this image in mind, she practiced every week at her school, the only place that had a drum kit available, as she didn't own one.
And you know, I can also imagine like playing the drums at home is a nightmare for the parents. Wow, I'm glad that she got to practice as much as she did.
The only place that had a drum kit available, as she didn't own one. The other problem was that she was alone in her club, so she could only practice by herself.
Hey, she's a self-starter.
By the end of her second year, she wanted to do a graduation live performance, so she gathered some of her friends from her old symphonic band days and performed a copy of the group Pez, a Japanese instrumental band consisting of a trumpet, a saxophone, a double bass, a keyboard vocalist, and of course, drums.
I gotta hear that assortment of instruments again. That was interesting.
Japanese instrumental band consisting of a trumpet, a saxophone, a double bass, a keyboard vocalist, and of course, drums.
That is an interesting composition.
You might be surprised to learn that Akane wanted to work as a hairdresser after graduation.
I am surprised.
But as she started drums and was 100% committed to improve her playing skills, she completely changed her mind and instead wanted to enroll in a music school. Against the will of her teacher, but with the support of her parents, Akane went to the Tokyo School of Music for 2 years to follow her passion.
That is like the exact opposite of what I might expect. I may have expected her teacher to be more like open-minded and her parents to be more restrictive, because I feel like that is like a more typical, I don't know, just like archetype for passionate careers. The kids usually have to fight the parents to like get an opportunity to become a musician or actor or whatever it may be. So rather than that, it's actually the teacher who is being restrictive. That must be like a broad sweeping cultural difference, or instead of me generalizing, it could just be idiosyncratic. Interesting though.
I went to the Tokyo School of Music for 2 years to follow her passion.
Not what I was expecting.
She was surrounded by talented musicians who wanted to become professional.
Is that Psyche?
Even though she was just a beginner in her class, she worked very hard and played every day to catch up with the other students. It was during those years that she joined a band who did a combined live show with another band featuring the one and only Kanami. She immediately acknowledged how good Kanami was with the guitar and wanted to know more about her. It turned out that they lived very close from each other, so they quickly became friends. Kanami used to ask Akane to play drums on her demos before sending them to record companies. Unfortunately,
beautiful relationship.
Akane's band didn't stay together very long, and she was back to square one.
Unfortunately is a very subjective term here, because without this band breaking up, BAND-MAID would have never been possible, or at least not on the timeline that we currently exist in.
Akane's band didn't stay together very long, and she was back to square one. But Akane was resourceful, so she started a part-time job as a waitress in a music restaurant in Yokohama. She could watch live performances and sometimes have a sit behind the kit to play when the restaurant closed for the day. She told the manager that she plays drums, so he asked if she could play right now. And she did. AKANE played Highway Star from Deep Purple.
No way.
And the manager agreed to let her play.
That's a song I actually reacted to on this channel because, I haven't heard that much Deep Purple. So the fact that Highway Star is one of the songs I listen to, really, that's just like, what is that? Is that cosmic coincidence? You could also say there's no such thing as coincidences. But what are the chances that she played that song and I've reacted to that song on this channel? Probably very high. I don't know.
He even offered to train her. From that moment, AKANE trained every day to improve her skills and become a better drummer. We are now in 2013, and BAND-MAID is actively looking for 3 female musicians to join a rock band while wearing maid outfits. I say 3 because at this time, they weren't searching for a lead vocalist yet. Our little pigeon already recruited Kanami, so the band was looking for a drummer and a bassist. As you can imagine, Kanami talked to AKANE about this opportunity. She trusted her with her demos, so why shouldn't she? At first, Kanami mentioned the label and AKANE was excited, until Kanami revealed that they are recruiting for an all-girls band. In case you wonder, she hadn't even mentioned the part where they would all have to be dressed in maid outfits. AKANE had too many bad experiences from all-girl bands, so she wasn't really thrilled about this idea. But the restaurant she was working at was about to close for good, so she took some time to think about it and finally decided to join Kanami. What about the maid outfit, you would ask? Well, she was reluctant at first, but how do you know that it's bad without even trying? After all, if Kanami is already there, it'll be okay, right? So she was willing to give it a try anyway.
Yeah, I feel like if you met Kanami and you understood her brain, like following her to the edge of the world is like not even a second thought. Obviously I have the benefit of knowing how good Kanami is and how good BAND-MAID are because of her expertise. But, sometimes when you feel that level of talent and it's right in front of you and you have the chance to just be around it more, you take it just for itself because you can maybe learn more through osmosis than just being separate in your own situation.
Already there, it'll be okay, right? So she was willing to give it a try anyway. Kanami sent her some demos, and AKANE found the music really cool right away. And the image of an all-girls band dressed like maids playing this kind of music was really interesting for her.
Such a dichotomy.
She felt that her reluctance against all-girl bands and maid outfits was fading away as her motivation kept growing. Just a few months later, a 5-members acoustic band was created under the name Mochi to Cheese. What's the link with AKANE, you could ask? Well,
like mochi being the dessert?
Mochi to Cheese. What's the link with AKANE, you could ask? Well, AKANE and Kanami were both part of this side band with 3 members from the band Predia, an idol group formed in 2010 under the same agency as BAND-MAID, Platinum Passport. They started to perform in the streets with acoustic covers and even performed live a few times over the 2 years of activity.
Oh, wow. That must be like part of their influence for how many acoustics they do nowadays. That's fun.
Covers and even performed live a few times over the 2 years of activity. The band also covered Forward, a song from BAND-MAID. A single was released in September 2015, but only 2 months later, they sent their last tweet and posted their last entry in their blog. After that, we did not hear from Mochi to Cheese again. Their YouTube channel is still available, so you can at least watch a fraction of their performances.
So AKANE is not playing the true drums here. She's playing a box. Sounds good. Very different to BAND-MAID.
モスチーズでした。バイバイ。
Let's get back to BAND-MAID. With all those years of practice, AKANE had a solid base of drumming to bring to the band, but she didn't have a lot of practice with the twin pedals on high-paced songs. She did buy one when she was in high school.
So twin pedals, I'm trying to understand this from coming from somebody who's not a drummer. So one is hitting this big one on the right, the left is hitting another like drum on the left. Is that the case, or are they hitting the same thing?
Twin pedals on high-paced songs. She did
Oh, it looks like they're both connected to the same implement. Wow, I've never seen this before. So you can basically use both feet to hit the bass drum faster. Huh.
Twin pedals on high-paced songs. She did buy one when she was in high school, but she gave up pretty quickly, only to come back on it later and work as much as she could to try and master it. With BAND-MAID, AKANE had to use twin pedals for the first time with Thrill. A
love
painful
Thrill.
first experience for her, but the feedback was incredible, so the band members wanted to add more twin pedals in the next songs over the years. This is something that AKANE wanted to do as well, but remember that from 2016, the songs are written by Kanami.
Mm-hmm. And from the Kanami documentary, we learned that there were many things that drum sections that she would program that were nigh impossible to play on AKANE's part.
And Kanami loves fast-paced rhythm.
Yeah,
速
she
いの
does.
は一番速い BPM。
I think it's 225.
That's Herman Lee?
おう
惜しい
ちには220。
Wait, is that Herman Lee from Dragon Force? I'm having like a brain blast right now.
225.
225。
おう
惜しい
うちには
ぽ
225ない
ない
ね。
200。
じゃあ次225を目指します。
Usually, Kanami's songs are based at about 170 beats per minute, but AKANE struggled to play the twin pedals over 130 beats per minute because of
Wow.
her lack of solid practice on twin pedaling. But she wouldn't be defeated that easily. BAND-MAID is a hard rock band. They needed to be hard on their music, and AKANE had to be able to play faster.
That's so much pressure to learn
What do you
that.
think she did?
She just practiced.
She thought about how she moves her legs and found ways to improve her movements to be able to play faster. And what's the best way to do it?
Yeah.
Practice, practice, practice. Muscle memory.
It literally makes me want to practice the guitar right now.
AKANE tried to move her legs every time and everywhere she could as if she was playing the twin pedals, so her legs
Oh.
remembered those movements.
I'll do that too, fingers.
She was also pushed by Kanami,
Yep.
who kept including a lot of twin pedals in her songs. A challenge that AKANE couldn't refuse to face, as she is not the type to admit that she can't keep up with a song. After a lot of work and thinking about her playstyle, AKANE is now able to use twin pedals anytime, in any song.
Oh my god. You hear how fast it is.
Did you know that BAND-MAID performed with a man once? No.
This is why I like watching this documentary series.
Did you know that BAND-MAID performed with a man once? No. Do you want to know more about this story?
Yes,
Of course you do.
thank you.
It was in 2015, on December 4th to be exact, at the Shinjuku club Science, that AKANE was replaced by a male drummer for a performance. Why, you might ask?
Uh-huh.
AKANE mentioned in an interview around that time that she just had an injury and she needed time to rest and heal. Don't worry, it wasn't a life or death situation, as AKANE came to this performance disguised as a staff member to support her bandmates. She tweeted 2 months later with a photo of her holding a lot of drumsticks with messages written from fans from all over the world.
You know, I can't even imagine like music being your entire life, your dream, your living, and to have an injury debilitate you and take you out of that entirely. It's literally like an angel losing its wings. I'm so glad that, she recovered. I'm glad that Psyche recovered. And, it's still like is so scary to be put in a position like that where all of it can be taken away from you. I think I've said this once before on my channel, but if I ever lose my hands, it's going to be a very sad time in my life. Good for her.
With messages written from fans from all over the world. BAND-MAID has the best community of fans. Am I right? Now, I'm sure that many of you maniacs know that AKANE likes to eat. A lot.
Does she?
She can eat 120 bowls of soba when on average, a man eats 70 bowls and a woman 50. Or even 30 plates at a kaiten sushi, a restaurant where plates of sushi are placed on a conveyor belt that winds through the restaurant and moves past every table, counter, and seat.
Really?
And believe me when I tell you that 30 is a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know like what these actual proportions end up being, because this feels like if I were to take like a US equivalent of like all unlimited pasta at Olive Garden, any number above 10 is insane. So I don't know how these like compare to that, but 120 compared to the average, Jesus. Even sushi, I feel like I can put down sushi. I would like to go into a food eating competition against AKANE here.
Counter and seat. And believe me when I tell you that 30 is a lot. She loves eating food so much that you can see her eating in a lot of the music videos over the years. I'll bet she really enjoyed filming those.
Wait, that's actually hilarious.
AKANE was invited for a few episodes of BAND-MAID Nippon, and they played a game where Miku and Psyche had to guess her favorite food outside of Japan.
ご飯
ご飯
何米ってこと？
ご飯
米？
ピザ
どういうこと？主食の？
主食っていうのかな
メインのもの。
メインの
こってりじゃないでしょきっと。
こってりじゃないね
パエリア。
パエリアです
ね、勘で言ったら当たったし。
あ、どうなの
At the creation of BAND-MAID, AKANE was designated as the leader as she appeared to be the most responsible. But now, every member has a different role equally important, and having a leader was just not relevant anymore. AKANE is also famously known for goofing around every chance she gets.
Beautiful. Oh my god. She's actually really good.
Even during live performances. And she's not the only one, as the other band members try to make her laugh by pulling faces. Sometimes, it gives us some very special moments to watch. And sometimes, it just works too well. BAND-MAID is really putting on a show when it comes to live performances, because these 5 hard rockin' maids are really enjoying themselves, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
See, that's how music performance should be. It should just be a boatload of fun for the performers, for everybody in the venue, actually.
Are really enjoying themselves, don't you think? All right, it's time to talk about AKANE's drum style. But let's keep it simple, shall we? And as I didn't become a musician since our last video on Kanami, I will let today's special guests talk to you about this very interesting subject. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to hear what they have to say about AKANE. Let's go.
BAND-MAID is a group of individuals that are just such heavy hitters on their instruments. When they come together, the overall sound of the ensemble is amazing. The rhythms, the harmonies, the quality of the vocals, the songwriting, the skill sets of how everything is woven together is a very amazing listening experience. I've only seen the videos, but from moment one, it had me hooked. Now, AKANE's drumming is... when you see someone that is so fluid and relaxed and they're playing at such a high velocity and the demand is so great, the level of respect is top. It is top for me. So she has a way of laying back in the groove and just flowing so well, but a lot of the times these tempos are burning, like they're going fast. But
That's so true.
she has this thing where it's like effortless mastery. She lays back. There's all these augmentations and interactions within the orchestration of the song with everybody else. Like there's always these complicated things happening. But when you watch her play, the legato, like it's smooth. It's like you don't really notice how difficult everything is. And for me, that's the major selling point, because anytime something seems like smooth and easy, it's not. It's because the person is so good. They've put in so many thousands of hours on their instrument, and their ability to have all that ensemble listening go on allows them to be that effortless mastery that I just brought up. I will never get tired of watching AKANE play. I mean, to be just completely honest, it's inspirational, and it just makes me want to be a better musician.
AKANE is a...
I hard agree with Mr. Italia there. The fluidity with which AKANE plays, again, I'm not a drummer, but it is masterful. I don't have to echo all the sentiments, but the velocity and the ease with which she plays, it makes it feel like, oh, I could play something like that. And that's how you know you have a master at their instrument at play, when everything they do looks easy to do yourself. But when you pick up the instrument, nowhere near. It's nowhere near that easy.
It's inspirational, and it just makes me want to be a better musician.
AKANE is a very impressive musician. For many reasons, one of them is her constant evolving. It's almost a rule among musicians to get to a certain level and then stop, because that's good enough. But there's no such thing as good enough for AKANE.
Why is that a
She's
rule?
Constantly getting better, not only in her skills as a player, but also as a writer. There's not a single dull moment in her writing. There's always something different and interesting and creative happening. Her creativity has no limits. She almost never repeats herself. That thing where the second verse is completely different from the first, but you can still tell it's the same thing. It represents the same thing. That's very impressive writing. AKANE is a drummer's drummer, but she's also everybody's drummer. What I mean by that is, to someone who's not familiar with the drums, she sounds very impressive, she is, but it's not impenetrable, it's not tedious or self-serving. She's always serving the music. You can always groove to it. But when you do know what she's doing, your mind goes blank for a second, because she can write these incredibly intricate parts that are also beautiful. Recent example of that is in Influencer, the transition that goes from first chorus to the second verse, and that
I don't think I've heard this.
acrostics and everything. I think they call it the A melody. There's so much happening there. It's so fast. It's so different, and not different from the first verse, different from everything I ever heard from her. There's more music in those 15 seconds than in 99.99% of all music ever recorded, and you can still dance to it. Then you see her playing live. Doesn't even look like she's doing anything that hard. She doesn't call attention to herself. She just smiles and plays the impossible. She hits very, very, very hard with so little effort. She's so fast. She's so precise. But she's also expressive. There's feeling in her playing. And that's what music is, or should be, is taking your instrument and amplifying your emotions to touch people's hearts. AKANE does that. She hits very hard with incredible speed and precision, but she's also putting herself, her feelings into her music. She's joy, she's happiness, fun to be around. She jokes around, she says random things. And her playing is also like that. Her drumming, her music is joyous, is happy, is pleasurable and surprising, and connects the songs. And she's constantly getting better at it. And that's very impressive.
I really like all of that gentleman's comments. Something that it makes me think of, and just like as a point of contrast, I'll listen to a lot of music on this channel, and sometimes like there'll be a lot of, let's say, focus on the guitar in different bands, and depending on which band I'm listening to, you'll hear the guitarist do too much, make the music too busy, make the song serve the guitarist and not the guitar serve the song. AKANE definitely amplifies the music. She is a core pillar of BAND-MAID, of course, but manages to play that fine balance between being kind of arrogant in her playing, like shredding up and down the guitar neck. If you're the guitarist, that's just my drum equivalent. just incessantly with no rhyme or reason. You're just playing notes to play notes because you can shred fast. It isn't actually what people want to hear. We want to hear those emotions. So expertly said by that gentleman.
Even begin with AKANE. Oh, I've tried covering her drums so many times. Never really got them right because they're so complex. She's definitely the hardest drummer I've ever tried to cover. The skills required alone are insane, but it's not only the skill, it also requires an insane amount of memory skills because she's constantly changing up her drum patterns, keeping things fresh. It never gets stagnant, but it's so hard to remember all the different little changes she makes. And somehow she's still able to smile through all of it while she's playing. She plays with so much power, so much...
Yeah, see, this is why you'd never be able to copy her style, because there's that like famous quote about, you know, being able to copy greatness. You're never actually going to become great when you copy greatness. Even if you remembered all of the riffs, all of the drum fills that she does throughout her playing in BAND-MAID, you wouldn't actually be able to emulate her style because you just aren't AKANE. She is AKANE.
Smile through all of it while she's playing. She plays with so much power, so much energy, and perfectly complements all the other instruments around her. You can tell from what she's playing that she listens to her fellow bandmates and does what she can to accentuate their parts instead of just playing underneath them or playing over them. She gives the song exactly what it needs. Such a well-rounded drummer. Okay, I'll shut up now.
Once again, I've been telling you the story of someone who has been in love with music since forever and tried many instruments until she found the one that was perfect for her: drums. Even though she was alone in her club during high school, without a drum kit to practice on at home, AKANE did her best to learn the basics by herself and was able to join a music school and pursue her goal of becoming a professional musician.
I love these outro stories.
From a child who wanted to try everything but couldn't find the motivation to keep at it, to a truly passionate musician, AKANE kept doing her best to live for and from music. Working at a music restaurant to end up playing drums there. Joining BAND-MAID with Kanami, and within this already incredible band, learning and evolving towards this image of a strong hard rock female drummer she always wanted to be associated with. AKANE wanted to prove that gender has nothing to do with her drumming and how hard BAND-MAID's music is. And we can all agree that she does this every time she hits her drums.
Expertly.
No matter how difficult it was, no matter how many obstacles she faced, AKANE destroyed everything in her way so she could achieve what makes her special as a person and a drummer.
And these documentaries are so good. Thank you to Casper, Orange, everybody else here. Whew. Well, there it is, everybody. That's the AKANE documentary. Now I'll be pronouncing that name right from now on. I have been saying AKANE for so long. It is AKANE. Wow, she is so talented. It's really amazing to get to hear all of the varied perspectives on her and her origin story. I feel like there's so much more for me to uncover when it comes to BAND-MAID in general, but then AKANE specifically. So I'm excited to get into all of that in the future. But, you know, for now, I hope you all enjoyed my reaction. If you did, hit that subscribe button. And if you would like to request any reactions for yourselves, hit the link in the description box down below. I'd greatly appreciate that. But in any case, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care and peace.